Hormones, pituitary, pancreas, thyroid, adrenal, and the reproductive organs, testes already done. So that means we have to start with the hormones of the plants, right? We have to start with hormones of the plant. Red में है ये, और ये बोर्ड का ये हालत क्यों है? डस्टर चेक कर, डस्टर अगर ये नहीं है तो चेंज करके दे. कैसे इस बोर्ड में कैसे लिखना है? You have a class too? Okay, fine. So now the hormones of the plants. Let us start then with the concept of hormones of the plants. What are the hormones of the plants known as? The hormones of the plants are known as phytohormones. Plant hormones known as phytohormones. What are phytohormones? Specialized chemical substances released by the plant tissues. But now that we are saying that released by the plant tissues, which parts of the plant? Usually again, the growing ends of the plant are the major regions where the hormones are produced. Now, we are going to study 5 major hormones and their functions. What is the role of the major types of plant hormones and their functions? So, let us start with the concept of the plant hormones and their functions. The first is we talk about the auxin. Auxin, a major type of hormone of the plant tissues, released majorly at the growing ends. So, where would the auxin be concentrated? They are released by or released at the growing regions. They are released at the growing ends. In the meristematic tissues, So this is majorly to remember about the auxin. Next is, what is the function of the auxin? Auxins help in cell growth. They help in plant growth. They help in plant growth by cell elongation. They help in plant growth by cell elongation. What else? They are also responsible for the bending of the shoot. They are also responsible for the bending of the shoot during phototropism. Now, let us try understanding auxin and its role in phototropism. So, we say, what is the major function of the first hormone in the plants that we are studying? The first hormone in the plants, that is auxin. What is the role of auxin and how does it generally help in the process of phototropism? Let us just try understanding. Here, the location now in each of these 5 hormones that we are talking about, in each of these, the process and the function and majorly the first hormone that we are talking about, I said already, the first hormone auxin. Where is it released? What is the site of release of the auxin to right? What is the site of release? At the growing tips always. And at the growing tips, the tissues are always the meristematic tissues always to understand. At the growing tip, the tissues always are, this is not working on. I'll keep at a lower temperature. Lower, nahi, higher temperature, don't worry. Now, when we are talking about auxin again, at the meristematic tips. That is the location always to mention. What is its role? It is very much helping a plant to grow taller. The shoot of the plant will grow taller because of the presence of the oxygen. What about the roots? Is it affecting the roots? Yes, the roots, I talk about a small young sapling that I've planted, but in 1 month's time, I get to see that the entire shoot has started growing taller. Which hormone responsible? Oxygen. But unless and until I keep on trimming and chopping the upper ends of the shoot, the plant is just growing tall. But if I keep on trimming and chopping the upper part of the shoot every time, then only it starts taking a branching pattern. So we also come across that this oxygen is also responsible for a concept known as allowing the plant grow only tall, and it will not allow the process of branching. So this is known as apical dominance, a concept of oxygen. So majorly for you, you have to remember that where are they released? What does it help in? Now, growth, always you have understood, growth means what? The division of the cells. Oxygens are never allowing, or oxygens are never bringing about the process of division of cells. Oxygens are always meant to help in growth, but by allowing the elongation of the cells. How? I will talk about that this particular concept, a tropic movement. What is this tropic movement? Again, in the next part of the chapter, we are going to come across. I said oxygens are always accumulated at the meristematic regions, at the tips, growing ends. But now, if it is a source of light which is just above the shoot, it will definitely allow the release of the hormones, that is the oxygen. But now, if the source of the light is a little bit tilted, when the surfaces of the shoot are not evenly getting the sunlight or evenly getting the heat, what will happen? The region where the heat is lesser, this is, I will talk about this type of a shoot now where the light is almost at an angle, at a slight angle. So this is the region of the shoot which is directly exposed to the light, and this is generally considered as the shady part of the shoot because it is not directly getting the heat. So this is generally known as the shady part of the shoot. Now in this shady part of the shoot, what will happen? The oxygen will all start diffusing and collecting. In any part of the shoot, I talk about this, if the source of light is just above this, then the bending will not happen at all. But when the source of light is not here, the source of light is here, then this is the part of the stem which is directly getting the heat, and this is the part of the stem which is getting the heat but not directly. So oxygen will accumulate here or here. No, it will collect here. It will all start accumulating here, meaning the oxygen will all start getting accumulated in the shady part of the shoot. Now, since the oxygen is getting accumulated in the shady part of the shoot and the concentration of the oxygen here more, what now next? The cells here start elongating. Every cell will start elongating. अब यहाँ पे तो cells all elongate हुआ. What about this side? This side the cells are not elongating, no. So here the cells are small. Number of cells here also 10, here also 10. But यहाँ के cells, this has become quite stretched and long. And that is the reason the curve. That is the reason the curve. So why the curve? Yes, here also maybe 10 cells are there, here also 10 cells are there. But actually what happens? This particular region, the cells will be elongated because oxygen brings about cell elongation. And this is how the growth is happening. But along with the growth, the bending is also happening. Are you clear? So what are the functions of oxygen that we understand? Oxygen, a concept always related with phototropism. Oxygen is a concept that we talk about. Oxygen, the role of oxygen is, yes, helping the plant to grow, helping the plant to grow, but by the process of cell elongation, not by the process of cell division at all, and always associated with the concept of phototropism. You get a question, how does bending of the shoot take place? What are you supposed to write? These are the steps on which you have to frame your answer. What are the steps I said? Based on the source of the light, the secretion of the oxygen will take place, and then when the source of the light is little bit at an angle, what will happen? The region of the stem which is not directly exposed to the sunlight, which is considered as a shady part, the oxygen will all accumulate there, and that would be the region where the elongation of the cells will be maximum. And now on either side, when you compare, here the number of cells are same but smaller, here the number of cells are same but elongated, and that's the reason the entire shoot is bending. But there are some other cells, there are some other hormones which are responsible for the division also. So this is about the oxygen. Let us talk about the next now. Yes.
In organism, there is the roots as well.
In the root as well. But in the root, there is nothing to do with, the roots are not phototropic, they are negatively phototropic. In the roots also oxygen is there, there also the elongation is happening and the growth is happening. But are we understanding that the roots also respond to light? No, the roots are negatively phototropic. They are not responding to light at all. They don't respond to light. So there we will not think of that are the roots also bending under the soil? No, they are not bending. They are just straight away growing there. Next is, the second hormone is cytokinin. The second hormone is cytokinin. Now, cytokinin that we talk about, the cytokinin is one specific hormone which also helps in the process of growth, but the method is a little bit different. Cytokinin, where are they released? Cytokinin is released, secreted at the nodes of the plant, at the nodes of the plant, meaning nodes of the stem, I can say, nodes of the branches, I can say. Nodes always refer to the growing regions again. If I talk about the nodes, what are you supposed to understand? If this is a small plant, and we understand that the branches are growing from here, and then the leaf, and then the flower from here. So, which one is the node? This is the node. This is the node. I again talk about from here again, the growth of the leaf has taken place. So which one is the node? This particular region is the node, and between any two nodes is the internode, where the process of growth, or where the process of side branches and the growth is not happening there at all. So the cytokinin is generally meant for allowing the process of growth of the branches, for the growth of the petiole and the leaf and the flower and the fruit. But from where? From the nodes of the stem. I talk about the roots, yes. For the roots also, cytokinin will play an important role. But for the roots also, if this is a root, from the nodes only it is constantly growing. From the nodes only it is constantly keep on growing. So the roots also, they have got points from where the process of growth will happen. So what is the job of cytokinin? The job of cytokinin is to promote growth. Promote growth of branches, and then leaves, and then flowers from the nodes of the stem, from the nodes by cell division. So if you are talking about the cytokinin always helps in growth, but now cell division. Then what is the major difference we have talked about? For oxygen and cytokinin, both helps in growth. But what is the difference in their pattern of growth? One by the way of cell elongation, the other by the way of cell division. That is the second. Talk about the third hormone. What about the third hormone in case of the plants? The functions are simple. The functions are not elaborate as in case of animals we had studied. Abnormal conditions in the plants also are there, so many, but we are not studying them right now. The third hormone that we talk about is gibberellins or gibberellic acid. The third hormone that we talk about is gibberellins. Where are gibberellins released? Gibberellins is a specific hormone which is secreted at the surface of the secreted by the cells of the stem and the root. Stem and the root. What are they doing? Helping in. They help in promote growth of the stem, branches, root, growth of the stem, branches, root by increasing their girth. By increasing their girth. What is the meaning of girth? The diameter. Girth means the diameter. So gibberellins, what would the gibberellins help in? I talk about this plant. In another 1 year time, I get to see that the plant has become something like this. The roots have become broad enough, every particular root broad enough, so many branches have come up. So how did that happen? And then I talk about that, yes, new branches, and the branches are also quite broad now, and then the leaf and the flower. So what is the major difference to understand this young plant which we had planted? In 6-7 months time or in a year time, we get to see that the roots have become quite broad now and thick. The stem has become quite broad. What is the reason? The hormone which is responsible for increasing the layers and the layers of the cells help in the formation of the layers of the permanent tissues and making the entire plant broad. What is the hormone responsible for this function? The gibberellins. What is the gibberellins doing? Increasing the layers and layers of the permanent tissues and making the stem broader, the root thicker, the branches and the twig broader. Okay. So that is what you'll have to use this word girth in your answer. What is the meaning of the word girth? Increase in diameter. The fourth hormone that we talk about is abscisic acid. The fourth hormone that we talk about is abscisic acid. Now, what is abscisic acid? Abscisic acid is one growth inhibitor. Abscisic acid, it is a growth inhibitor. It is a growth inhibitor. Where is this released? It is released in all the plant parts. It may be released in the fruit. It will be released in the cells of the leaf. What is the function of the abscisic acid? Now, for every particular plant, now that the process of growth is almost done, a particular plant has almost grown, the size of the leaves. So whenever we are talking about a particular plant has started giving rise to new leaves, the leaves will grow. After a day or two, the growth of the leaf is done, optimum growth. After the growth is over, maximum growth is reached, that will persist another couple of days. After that, the leaf, is it remaining there attached to the plant for a very long time? No, it has entered into the period of aging and senescence, and after that follow. So if I talk about a leaf, a flower, a fruit, these are the parts of the plant which will obtain a definite size, shape, etc. Which hormone is regulating that? The abscisic acid. I talk about a plant which is starting giving rise to the flower. I talk about the hibiscus. A small bud develops into a flower. But this flower, every particular flower will have a particular size. I talk about every particular fruit will have a particular size. I talk about the mangoes. I talk about the grape. I talk about the watermelon. I talk about the tomatoes. Every particular fruit, how come they have a definite size? It is based on the type of the species which will release the abscisic acid at a definite period of time. For grapes, it will be earlier. For tomatoes, a little bit later. For lemon, a little bit later. But if I talk about the pumpkin, the release of the abscisic acid in that plant will be after a prolonged period of growth. So for every particular species, the chemical substances are released based on their growth pattern. It is a growth inhibitor, meaning once optimum size of the fruit done, release this hormone to stop the growth. Leaf, once optimum size of the leaf done, release this hormone, stop the growth. Now the growth should not be indefinite for any type of a plant. What is its job specific to right? It is a growth inhibitor, and it definite function for abscisic acid to right. It helps in maintaining. It helps in maintaining the size of the fruit, leaf, the fruit, the leaves, the flowers by inhibiting the growth, after maximum growth is reached, or after the maximum size reached. So that's the reason we are saying that it is a growth inhibitor. What is the hormone which is responsible for maintaining the different shapes of the leaf and the flower and the fruit? Always abscisic acid, because it is the hormone which will stop the process of growth once optimum growth is reached. The fifth is the ethylene. Now, ethylene is an exception. Which one? Inhibiting cell division after maximum growth is reached. Ethylene, it is the only gaseous hormone. It is released by the cells of the fruit and the seed. Majorly. This ethylene, which is released by the cells of the fruit, the cells of the seed, what is its function? Promotes the seed maturation. And ripening of the fruits. Seed maturation and ripening of the fruit. So that is its function. 5 hormones that we study. Ethylene, one exceptional hormone. Why? Because it is a hormone but in the gaseous state. Now this particular hormone, the ethylene, can be artificially injected also in the fruits for premature ripening. Now, especially when we are now talking about the commercial demand of the various different type of fruits. Now, say suppose we talk about the mangoes, we talk about the watermelon. Now, looking into the demands and the productivity, what happens? Quite a number of times, these fruits are plucked from the plants raw. And then ethylene will be injected into this, and where in the warehouses where they are kept, since it's a gaseous hormone, it can diffuse. So if one hormone, if I talk about that, I keep some 10 mangoes together, and in these 10 mangoes, 5 of them are raw, and another 2 moderately ripe, and 1 is quite ripe. But these 10 mangoes, I have kept them together. Out of them, only 1 is ripe. But in 2 days' time, I'll get to see that the rest, almost 6 of them, has also become ripe. How is it possible? Or in just 1 day, 1.5 days, another 6 has ripened up. How is it possible? Because this hormone, which is releasing from the ripe mango, is diffusing and coming in contact with the other raw ones also and converting them into ripe much faster. So this gaseous hormone artificially also is been used for ripening the fruits. Pluck them raw from the plant and then inject into some of them. And since diffusion is a concept we come across in this hormone possible, so it will keep on diffusing from one to the other, and ultimately converting these fruits all look yellow, but internally they may not have the sweet taste, or etc. So because they are not getting ripened in the natural method, they are getting ripened by the way of the gases artificially which has been injected into them. So these are the 5 hormones that you'll have to study: the role of the oxygen, the gibberellins, the cytokinin, the abscisic acid, and the ethylene. Ethylene is both ways. It is sometimes an inhibitor also, and sometimes it is a promoter also. Then what is the meaning of the word a promoter? Which can help in growth. What is an inhibitor? Which will stop the process of growth. Okay. So 5 hormones.
Does ethylene have cons?
Ethylene have cons meaning?
Cons is with bad side effects. On plant.
Acha, corns.
Corns.
Ethylene has no corns, no, not corns and process such. Here we are saying ethylene will bring about the maturation. Now I talk about the ripe mango. The ripe mango is releasing ethylene and diffusing it to the nearby fruits also. So the nearby, if I keep a very ripe fruit near some raw fruit, those raw fruits will get ripened much faster because it is gaseous, can diffuse. But the bad effect, no, nothing bad effect because naturally in the process it will now start getting decomposed. Naturally it will now start getting under decomposition. Now, this hormones, now the next concept that we will talk about is after the concept of hormones, now we look into the different types of plant movements. Now, what are the different types of plant movements? To some extent, hormones are also responsible. Plants, do they show movements? Plants, do they show movements?
Yes.
What types?
Unidirectional.
Huh? Okay, unidirectional, meaning what?
They only grow at one direction.
Okay. And are they affected by stimulus?
Yes.
Yes.
Sunlight. Okay. So now when we are talking about, just now I showed you this basic concept of phototropism. We were just now learning also a concept of phototropism. Let us learn that how would generally phototropism work out. When we talk about a concept of phototropism, this is quite obvious. All of you must have seen that these plants which, one minute. When we are talking about the concept of phototropism, we'll have to remember it this way that tropic movements, what is the meaning of tropic movements? Tropic movements would generally mean any type of a movement of a plant, but with response to a stimulus. Tropism, we are studying a concept of tropism now. What is tropism? Tropism or tropic movement is always associated with the bending of the plant parts, movement of the plant parts with response to a stimulus. So now that we are talking about tropism or tropic movements, what is the major understanding? What is tropism? Tropism means bending or growth of the plant parts with response to a stimulus. Now, what the stimulus and which part of the plant is responding? So, bending or growth of the plant parts, the bending or growth of the plant parts with response to stimulus. Growth of plant parts with response to stimulus. Now, when we are talking about the word stimulus, what is the meaning of the word stimulus? First of all, to remember that. What is a stimulus? Stimulus can be any agent or a factor which can bring about a response. For us, can you remember the nervous system control coordination, or when we are talking about the entire concept of nervous system, there also we have studied. What was the meaning of the word stimulus? There we said, or what are some stimulus we respond to?
Hot pan.
Huh?
Hot pan, like when we touch it.
Acha, hot and cold. Okay, and
Light.
light,
Sharp.
sound,
Taste.
chemicals. Okay, so we respond to chemicals, we respond to temperature, heat, cold, we respond to sound, we respond to light. So does the plant also respond to the similar stimuli? No.
Light.
Different. Some, one or two same, but not all. So when we are talking about the stimulus for a plant, what are the stimuli for a plant? The stimuli for a plant are a bit different as compared to us. The stimuli for a plant would be light, would be water, would be gravity, would be touch like us, and would be chemicals also like us. So when we are talking about that plants show movement, with response to variety of this stimuli. What is the meaning of the word stimuli? Stimuli always means a factor which is allowing the change in a plant. A factor or an agent which is allowing response from our body. Sound, yes, we respond to sound. Gravity, does a plant respond? Water, light, chemical, yes, a plant responds to all of these. Then, respectively, what will those terms be when we are talking about stimulus? And then, respectively, what will those terms be? Trying to understand what type of movements they are known as. If it is a concept of light, if it is light, then the type of tropism is known as phototropism. If it is water, it is known as hydrotropism. And if it is gravity, it is known as geotropism. And if it is touch, this is known as thigmotropism. And if it is chemicals, it is known as chemotropism. So what the stimulus and what the response? Which examples best to write and mention? I talk about phototropism. Already phototropism we had studied. So I would say which part of the plant is positively phototropic? Yes, the shoot is positively phototropic. Meaning what?
It responds towards the light.
I'm saying the shoot is phototropic, meaning what? It is the shoot which responds to light and the root is not responding to light. Then what will we write for root? I would say for root, the root is negatively phototropic. The root is negatively phototropic. Now this concept comes in positively phototropic, negatively phototropic. What is the meaning? Positively phototropic means which part of the plant prominently shows the change. Which part of the plant is prominently showing the change? The root?
Shoot.
No, the shoot. The shoot is showing the change, and we'll have to write positively phototropic for that. Positive tropism. So positive tropism here means when I talk about the concept of the shoot here, I'm mentioning positive, meaning it is responding straight away to light. Root, no, I'm saying it is negative. That means not responding to light at all. With this concept, look at this figure. Very clear. All of you must have sensed this change in the plant parts. Now, if I talk about the source of light exactly above the plant part will not bend at all. But the growth, are we talking about the growth also now associated with the tropic movement? Yes. Since we are studying tropism, we are talking about growth also, and the growth is majorly about the hormones. What are the major characteristics of the tropism? That also we'll have to remember. Does tropism talk about growth? Yes, it talks about growth. But growth in response to the stimulus. Now that the growth has happened, is this growth permanent? Yes, it is permanent. Is it irreversible or reversible? No, it is irreversible. And now that the stimulus is little bit away from the center, no, it is no more at the center. It is little bit away from the center. So if the stimulus is little bit away from the center, how is the plant responding? Is the plant still growing? Yes, it is still growing, but it is taking a bend, trying to respond to the stimulus in the direction of the stimulus. So what are the things that I had mentioned just now? I had mentioned just now that if it is phototropism, plants respond to light. Plant is responding to light how? By growth and by bending directly towards the source of the stimulus. Clear? So now, when I talk about phototropism, what are the three things that has to be very clear? In the entire concept of phototropism, the plant is responding to light. Is there growth? Yes. Is the growth and the response in the direction of the stimulus? Yes, it is in the direction of the stimulus. Is the growth permanent, or the moment I take away the stimulus, the growth retracts back? No, the growth is permanent. Once happened, happened. It will not retract back again. Talk about the next one, hydrotropism. In the case of hydrotropism, we had already mentioned that the concept is, in the case of hydrotropism, the concept is what? The concept is the stimulus will be water. Can you think of a plant part which is relating to water?
Roots.
The roots. So what should you write for the roots then?
Positively
Positively
hydrotropic.
hydrotropic. Positively hydrotropic. So the concept of roots being positively hydrotropic, and then when we are talking about the roots are positively hydrotropic, and along with that geotropism we can talk about. But let us first of all think about the roots and the water. Hydrotropism, what is the stimulus? Water. Which part of the plant is directly responding? Roots. Now here I may talk about that this pot which has got the soil and the water in the soil. Are the plants directly responding to the water? You may say that yes, the plant is growing because of the water, but the plant is growing, the shoot is growing away from the water. It is the root of the plant which is growing towards the soil. Okay, we don't take this potted plant, we don't take this pot and the soil, we just take some seeds. We just take some seeds, and now these seeds, if I talk about the concept of hydrotropism, I may take a number of seeds, and then I cover this bowl where I have placed adequate amount of water. I place one small net-like structure there, a square plate of net I keep, and over this, what am I taking? Some soap seeds I am taking and putting here. So this is my net plate over this bowl which has got water, and above this I have kept some seeds. I am to observe that does the root respond to water directly or the shoot? Because now I am here, I may not be convinced saying that no, I have put the plant inside the soil, so definitely they will grow down. But here also I come across now that the sprouting has started. Now that the sprouting has started, the radicle and the roots, they are constantly moving downwards, and the plumule part will all move upwards. So a clear indication that the roots always directly move towards the water. So if I have to mention shoots or roots are positively hydrotropic, roots are positively hydrotropic. And same is the concept when I talk about geotropism also. Keep a small young shoot, keep a small young sapling in the pot, and then we observe that it is always and always the roots moving downwards. One of the simplest example is a concept of seed germination. The roots haven't developed at all there. I have just taken some seeds and I put them in the soil. I have just taken some seeds, gram seeds, pea seeds, etc. I have just taken some handful of seeds, soak them a little bit in water, and before the process of germination has started, randomly I have placed them in the soil. Now that I have placed them in the soil, in a week time I get to see that some young leaves start coming up from here. Why not this side? Because why not the roots come up this side? No, the roots will always follow the direction of gravity. Roots respond towards gravity, shoot does not. Shoot, negatively or positively geotropic? Negatively geotropic. Clear? We talk about the next one. Thigmotropism. What is the stimulus? For thigmotropism, the stimulus is always the touch. For thigmotropic movements, the stimulus is touch. Let us try understanding a concept of thigmotropism. In a concept of thigmotropism, all of you are aware that whenever we talk about the growth of some tendrils, the growth of some tendriller plants. Now, if you look into the growth of these climbers, how do they grow? All of you must have seen some of these type of plants, maybe the pea and the money plant, or any of those lentils, the cucumber, and all these type of plants. If you look into, the plants will always have a thin stem, and modification of the stem will be in the form of the tendrils, and these tendrils, wherever they touch, they start spiraling and growing and give rise to leaves and flowers also there. So now these tendrils, why do they keep on spiraling around? Because now that they have touched a support, that can be the stem of another plant, the bamboo or the stick, whatever we have kept. And this is also the method of growing plants with thin stem and big fruit, something like the tomatoes, the pumpkin, the watermelon, all these. This is the method of growth also. This is the pattern of growth also that we are talking about, that these plants, since the stem is weaker, but the fruit that they give rise to is quite big enough, so surrounding this plant, some stick, bamboo, or some support will be there, so that the moment the tendrils come and start spiraling, that forms a support for the plant and the fruit can easily grow there. So what is this mechanism known as? Is it a tropic movement? Yes. But what type of tropism are we talking about? Thigmotropism, response of the plant parts to touch. Definitely, the shoot is positively thigmotropic. The shoot is positively thigmotropic. The next is the chemotropism concept. Chemotropism, from the word we are talking about. The chemotropic movement that we are talking about, let me just show you a very clear concept of chemotropism. Now, chemotropism, when we try understanding chemicals from the word chemotropism, we are talking about chemicals. What type of chemicals and how can we think of chemicals helping growth for a plant? One of the best examples to remember is the germination of the pollen grain. The pollen come in contact with the stigma. We'll learn this part of the chapter. In the next chapter, we are going to come across in detail. As of now, just try understanding how this pollen grain starts forming this long pollen tube. This is a pollen grain, a single cell structure coming out from the male part of a flower and reaching the stigma of female part of the flower, and by now what has happened? They have started forming this long tube-like structure. But how is it possible that they are forming the long tube-like structure inside the tube? Why not from the body of the tube? The pollen grain could have formed the tube from here also, from outside also. Why is it forming the tube inside? Because the inside of this entire female part is packed with glucose, the chemicals and various other nutrients, which this cell can respond and divide and divide and divide and grow and grow and grow and grow, and they reach the ovule, the ovary, where the process of fertilization has to happen. So chemotropism, when we are talking about germination of the pollen, a very good example to remember. The germination of the pollen, a very good example to remember when we are talking about the concept of pollen germination and chemotropism. So this was all about tropic movement we discussed. How many types? Phototropism, geotropism, hydrotropism, thigmotropism, chemotropism, 5 types. But now we need to know that, is this the only type of movement? No, the plants show some other type of movements also. Plants show some other type of movements also, known as the nastic movements. What are nastic movements? Nastic movements, the characteristic is there is no growth. I just now said, if it is tropic movement, growth is there. In nastic movement, there is no growth, but movement still. Then how are we saying that it is a type of a plant movement if there is no growth? Because the movement is there, but then the movement would be with reference to some stimulus. Would be with reference to some stimulus. Let us see 1 or 2 examples here. Let us take this example. I'll just show you some few more later. Now this is one pitcher plant. Pitcher plant. Now this pitcher plant shows nastic movement. I said, what are the characteristics? What are the differences? You'll have to write later. I'll ask you to write. Now what are the differences? For tropic movements, we said growth is there. Here growth is there? No. For tropic movement, we said the growth is there, but with the direct, in the direction of the stimulus always. In the direction of the water, in the direction of the gravity, in the direction of the light always. Here is the movement with the with reference to a stimulus, yes, but not in the direction of the stimulus. It can be in any direction. Then now that the growth is happening and here the growth is not there, what about the growth in case of the tropic movement? We said the movement is permanent. Here the movement is temporary. Let us see how. If this is the concept of the picture plan that I am showing you, this entire picture is nothing but a modification of the leaf where every cell is tight filled with water. It is getting the water by the way of the veins in the main leaf, the entire structure tight filled with water. This is also a modification of the leaf. You can see it is leaf-like. Modification of the leaf and the cells are tight filled with water. Now the stimulus, what can be the stimulus? A fly happens to sit here. A caterpillar happens to crawl from here, move and then come down. The lid will close. So now it can be a caterpillar, it can be a bee or a wasp, it can be a fly, which may touch a part of this leaf, a part of this picture, the rims of the picture. Now what happens? The moment this is happening, all throughout these parts, there is a wrinkling that starts happening. Why the wrinkling? Because of the movement of the water only from one region. I understand the caterpillar was moving, crawling from here and it fell down. Then what happened? From here, the wrinkling starts, meaning the water from this part starts moving and going up and reverting back again. So when the water was displaced from the tissue of this picture, or maybe from here, what will happen? This entire rim of the picture starts shrinking. And above that, the lid which is there, this will also start wrinkling and it will fall off. Because that stiffness, turgidity is gone now. The entire leaf. How does the leaf wrinkle? You have seen. So now it will wrinkle and fall off. So by chance, if that time some bee, wasp, everything has got it, it is trapped. And now that it is trapped, the sap which is released here, is accumulated here, has got some hydrolytic enzymes and this will help in the digestion of that insect also. And hence, this is also known as a insectivorous plant. So now, when we are talking about, in these cases, what is happening, in case of any of these example, if you see, is, what did I type?
Mimosa.
Is there a drink known as mimosa? I never knew. Okay, good. Now, when we are talking about this particular type of a plant, let us look into the mimosa there. Now, in this case, when we look into this, whenever the fly or the wasp is sitting here, what happens? Again, the same concept that I talked about the picture. The movement of the water all over. And this is, the insect must have sat here, but the entire leaflet closing. The insect must have sat here, the caterpillar, the bee must have sat here, but the entire leaflet closing. So are we not convinced that the movement is not in the direction of the stimulus, it is everywhere? Why is it everywhere in a bigger area? Because the movement of the water from here, there, going there and then coming up. And in 10-15 minutes when the water is revived back again, the folding will unfold. So is the water lost? No, the water is not lost. If the water would have been lost, then the revival would have taken a long time. So remember this concept when you get questions. The water is not lost. The bee sat here, the mosquito sat there, the small butterfly by chance must have hit these leaves. What has happened? The water movement started from one part of the leaf to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, and revived back at a particular period of time. Since it revived back, slowly, which was folding, again unfolds. Is the movement temporary? Yes. Was there any growth? No. Is the movement towards the stimulus? No. Okay. So these are some examples you have to remember. The Venus flytrap also, there are some more examples. The Venus flytrap there, the pitcher plant there, the touchmint, the mimosa there. So all these are common examples to write when you are writing anything on the nastic movement. Now we'll just summarize the two types of movements with their characteristics. The major types of movements and their characteristics, the three major points that I had asked, that has to be remembered. I think you must have written down those points. The major differences, would you write down? The first point I said, stimulus. Those of you haven't written, you'll have to write it down properly. The differences you are asked in your paper, differences between nastic and tropic movements. What are the differences between the nastic and the tropic movements? Write properly in a tabular form the difference between nastic and tropic movements. Number one is so that's the last part of the chapter. We are done with this chapter. One or two questions I'll ask you to do, and then the next class I'll just move on to the next chapter. Here, did you say heredity not done? You said done.
Done.
Actually,
Only reproduction is left.
only the last chapter then. Okay, very fast. Let us complete with this. For tropic movement, right now. For tropic movement, movement is in the direction of the stimulus. Movement in the direction of stimulus. Movement is in the direction of the stimulus. Next, movement other side, nastic. Movement not in the direction of stimulus. Movement not in the direction of stimulus. Number two, for tropic, movement is irreversible. Nastic, movement is reversible. Tropic, irreversible. Nastic, reversible. Number three, growth does not take place in nastic. Growth does not take place. Tropic, movement involves growth. Growth does not take place in tropic, and nastic, movement involves growth.
No, opposite.
What I said?
You said tropic movements not involve growth.
I said that no. Nastic movement is not involved. Nastic, no growth, and tropic movement involves growth. Understand what you are writing also. Okay. So for tropic movement, there'll always be movement accompanied by growth, and in nastic there'll be no growth. Now let us try page 205. Go there. 205. Take some questions and very fast try solving some of them. 205. Take question number 205. Take question number 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 8. Some of this we already discussed just now, so I'm not giving a question on this. Number 10. Number 10. Number 13. Number 14. Number 14, I'll give you this question. Try the rest, you should be able to answer. The ones which you can write answer in the volume, you can write also, not a problem. But for some questions, you have to write some points, write those in the. Which one? Karo, all of you should be able to answer this. Wherever there is a doubt, clarify karo, fast. Read the question properly and think. Doubt hai? All of you will write the answer. If it is one word, you write in the volume itself. हाँ. उसके बाद देखो अगर if there's anything explanatory, then write it properly in the notebook. Are you following? Doubt है?
Now, what are two components of peripheral and nervous system? One is nerves and the other.
Components of peripheral, somatic and autonomic. Somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. This chapter is done in school?
Yes.
Over? नहीं start नहीं हुआ है? हो गया? लिखो लिखो लिखो. If it is an explanatory answer, write and practice. Write full points. Points पूरा लिखना है, otherwise you will not get mark. This side, boys, any doubt? Confusion है? Done? All done? Done all? Confusion है? Any answer? The side boys all done? Head out.
On the eighth question,
Read out.
there is a hormone which regulates carbohydrate, protein, and fat metabolism in our body. In the hormone and the gland which secretes it. Why is it important? Because to have iodine salt. So it is
Cortex. No, that is not cortisone. No, because associated with that question, they have also asked about iodine. See. So it is thyroxine. Thyroxine also regulates basal metabolism, carbohydrate, protein metabolism. What you are saying is about the cortisone from the cortex that also regulates carbohydrate fat metabolism. But you have to read the question very carefully. Related with this question, they are asking about iodized salt. That means iodine, and iodine is always with thyroxine. So the hormone, which gland secretes thyroxine? Thyroid. Iodine promotes the formation of thyroxine in the cells of the thyroid. Iodine promotes formation of thyroxine in the thyroid cells.
question is why are patients of diabetes
That was the last question, right?
Yes.
So I said in case you're not able to frame, I'll give you this answer. What did you write? Did anybody try that question?
Not yet.
Why patients suffering from, I think I've discussed this, but I may not have given you any answer on that. Why patients of diabetes are given injections of insulin but not a tablet of insulin? What was the answer? If anybody remembers, I have discussed it during the explanation.
Insulin is responsible for controlling.
नहीं वो नहीं लिखना है. नहीं वो तो है, but the question is, a person is suffering from diabetes. Only in the preliminary few years or few months, the person will be given medicine to eat. Orally medicine उनको दिया जाता है, and that would generally allow his body cells pick up glucose from the blood. But if this person is having fluctuating glucose levels, possible है in 2 years time he will be asked to take injections of insulin. So agar injections, if insulin now has to be administered into the body of this patient, so why not in the form of a tablet capsule? Why in the form of an injection? Question ये है. नहीं वो तो medicine भी when we are taking the antibiotic also, that antibiotic also right from our mouth absorption शुरू हो जाता है. That is not the answer. What is it? That is partly a concept that you can write. But the main thing is, why not insulin in the form of a capsule or a tablet? Why in the form of an injection? Because if a person who is suffering from diabetes is given a tablet of insulin, chalo, if the pharmaceutical companies are making also a tablet of insulin or a capsule of insulin, so this person who consumes the tablet or the capsule of insulin, now from the mouth it will go to the stomach. Insulin is a protein which will be digested by the pepsin enzyme in the stomach. So insulin in its absolute form, in its actual form, will not be able to go to the blood. Broken down hoke, by the time it reaches and absorbed by the blood, it is not in the form of insulin, but something in a different partially digested form. So will it be capable of lowering the blood glucose level? No. Only insulin can lower the blood glucose level, not a partially digested form of insulin. But insulin the protein hai, the moment it enters the stomach, pepsin usko digest kar lega to something simpler. Understood? Let us write a proper answer. हाँ क्या हो गया? हाँ? Shoes पहनी अभी जाना थोड़ी है? बस अरे ठंडी भी लग रही है अभी. AC is at 27. I know. Nowadays girls are becoming so cold. हाँ अभी चलो लिखो, अभी जूते छोड़, अभी लिखो. चलो. Write that answer. Proper answer 2 points में वो answer लिखना है. Write down. You are feeling cold? I'm feeling cold. The air is still coming. The school, how do you manage? Jacket. Jacket is really thick. They have the jacket the entire year they have. Loaded with germs, their jacket is always on. Yeah, I wash it twice a day. Okay. Chalo, we'll write that answer. Insulin is a hormone. Insulin is a hormone which is biochemically protein in nature. Which is biochemically protein in nature. Biochemically protein in nature, full stop. In a diabetic patient, it is injected directly into the blood because of the following reasons. Number one, injected directly into the bloodstream because of the following reasons. Number one, insulin being a protein will be partially digested. Being a protein will be partially digested in the stomach by pepsin. Before absorption into the blood. Before absorption into the blood. Number 2, also the hormone when injected can readily, when very fast, can readily start lowering the blood glucose level. Lowering the blood glucose level. Okay? कुछ doubt है इस chapter में? If you have studied, definitely you will come across some concepts. As you study, keep asking your doubts also. I have mentioned this during the PTM also. Now that we are in the last chapter, at the most 4 weeks, we should be able to finish up the portion.
Which part of training?
हर एक क्वेश्चन तो जल्दी बोलो. Is searching.
Different part of brains are associated with specific functions. Name the part of human brain which perform the following functions. Vomiting.
Vomiting. Part of the brain vomiting. Vomiting is voluntary or involuntary? Involuntary. So which part should it be? Medulla oblongata controls involuntary functions. Number 2 is? अरे पढ़ो ना. What is the second? Second आता है. Second है क्या बताओ? Let's discuss in the class. Second क्या है?
Picking up a pencil.
Picking up a pencil. ये क्या होना चाहिए? हाँ? What you wrote? अरे you tell me what you wrote.
I'm cerebellum.
Cerebellum कहाँ है? Picking up a pencil. Cerebrum है ना? Absolute voluntary activity it is. Picking up a pencil is absolutely a voluntary activity. Third क्या है? Riding a bicycle. ये क्या होना चाहिए? इसमें cerebellum होना चाहिए because riding a bicycle 3-4 parts of your body, the hands and the leg muscles and absolute muscular coordination. No, this is cerebellum. Then fourth क्या है?
Sensation of feeling full.
हाँ, ये क्या है? Sensation, hypothalamus. Sensation of thirst, hunger. We studied, no? That is hypothalamus. ठीक है? Clear? Go through the chapter. Go through all the questions. I told you already. Individually, I told you in the PTM. अभी मैं repeat नहीं करने वाली हूँ. Go through. Doubt जहाँ पे भी doubt होता है, keep asking in the class. We move on to the last chapter, that is reproduction. The chapter, how do organisms reproduce? We are talking about the concept on reproduction. What is reproduction? Is it a life process? What is involved here? That is what we are going to study here, the modes, methods, functions. What is reproduction? The first question is that. It is the process by which organisms give rise to their new offsprings.
Continue the species.
And continue the race, continue the species. So now when we are talking about the concept of reproduction, something that you have to remember. It is not a life process. it is not a life process. Reproduction is not a life process. It is meant for the formation or the production of organisms of the next generation. Organisms for the next generation. What are the next generation organisms known as the next generation organisms? Now you'll come across certain new words. These are offsprings. Then, when we are talking about reproduction again, what is the need? The need is the continuity of race. The need is continuity of race. Maintain the population size. Maintain the population size. Now, why maintaining the population size necessary? Maintaining the population size is necessary because we may talk about the lesser the number of an individual of a species, what happens that heads towards too much of competition and extinction. So the competition becomes too much and chances of extinction more. So that's a basic concept to understand. What is reproduction? Why is it not a life process?
Ma'am, because it is not necessary to sustain a living organism's life. A particular organism.
Meaning?
Meaning like how nutrition and respiration, all these are life processes which
vital processes.
Which vital process.
Is reproduction a survival need for an organism?
No.
It is not a survival need for an organism, but it is only meant for the continuity of the species, to add organisms to the population, maintain the population size, so that there is no chance of extinction for that type of an organism. So all these. What is very much a process, what is very much a need in the concept of reproduction? A need which is very much there in the process of reproduction is cell division. Meaning, can we think of cell division? Can we think of reproduction without cell division? Not possible. Cell division and reproduction more or less go together. The moment I think of reproduction, cell division is undoubtedly in the processes as it is to be understood. That cell division will be definitely a part of the concept of reproduction. Now, what is the meaning of cell division? When we are talking about cell division, what is the basic concept you have? Cell division. The moment I say cell division, you have to understand that cell always divides. One particular cell is always dividing to form new cells, two cells. That's a basic concept always. That one cell is dividing to form new cells. And in that process, the cytoplasm and the nucleus, both more or less in a sequenced or in a unprogrammed manner, either it is evenly or unevenly, will get distributed like this, and the new cells formed are the daughter cells. The daughter cells. So now, when we are talking about the concept of cell division, again we understand what is cell division? A process in which a parent cell gives rise to daughter cells. A parent cell gives rise to daughter cells. But now that we are talking about the parent cell and the daughter cell, what now? Is it that the parent cell will always divide into two? And is it that always the parent cell will give rise to two daughter cells?
No.
Not necessary, because
Meiosis.
the types of division, one is mitosis and the other is meiosis. We talk about two types of cell division. One is mitosis, the other is meiosis. Where does these cell divisions occur? Where do these types of cell division take place? What do they give rise to, etc.? If I talk about mitosis, a type of a cell division. Mitosis, a type of a cell division, remember, this is a type where the division is actually happening where? In the
Body parts.
somatic cells of the body. Now, what is the meaning of somatic cells of the body? Somatic cells of the body meaning, I would say that this type of a cell division is actually happening where? In the body cells. I would say mitosis happening where? In the liver? Yes. Bone? Yes. Muscles? Yes. Stomach, intestine, lining of the mouth cavity, etc., etc. Not in the reproductive cells. Not in the reproductive organs. So, where is mitosis taking place? Mitosis is taking place in the somatic organs. What is the meaning of the somatic organs? All the body organs except for the reproductive organ. I just now mentioned the lungs and the liver and the stomach and the intestine and the food pipe and the blood vessels and the mouth cavity everywhere. Somatic organs of the body, not the reproductive organs. So meiosis way, meiosis in the reproductive organs. Then which are the reproductive organs? And am I only talking about the human right now? Though we are talking about the human system majorly later, but the concept of meiosis in the reproductive organ is not only in case of human, it is for the plants also, for the animals also, and variety of other organisms also, which undergo the process of sexual reproduction. So reproductive organs majorly show meiosis, but later they result in the formation of specific structures. Mitosis, come back to this concept again. The parent cell, when I talk about mitosis, the parent cell will give rise to how many daughter cells? It will give rise to 2 daughter cells. See the image also there? The parent cell will always give rise to 2 daughter cells. Talking about this side, the parent cell will always give rise to 4 daughter cells. Always 4 daughter cells. Then, what is the need of this process? When we are talking about mitosis, what is the need of this process? The need of this process is majorly for repair. Say suppose we have suffered from some cut or injury on the skin. Yes, mitosis is healing it up. Cell division.
And even in growth.
The entire process of growth. A small child, an infant. I talk about right from the mother's womb, how does the process of growth happen? Mitosis. After birth, how does the process of growth happen of that newborn till that 5 years, 10 years, 12 years? How? Mitosis. So mitosis generally helps in the process of repair, helps in the process of maintenance. In an adult, now for us, the growth is almost done. The growth is all done, but then still, whenever there's an injury or cut, their cells need to be multiplied in large numbers to repair that injury. So now, what is it? Yes, maintenance and repair is also being carried out by mitosis. But now for you, the process of cell division is still going on. But in few years, again, now that the process stabilizes, what happens? Mitosis, is it done? Is that mitosis is no more taking place in your body now? No, mitosis is always taking place in the body. But in a couple of years, when growth is done, then what is the need for mitosis then? Because mitosis also has to take place because of repair, for maintenance, etc., injury healing, for all these. Then what for mitosis? Meiosis. Meiosis is taking place of the reproductive organs for what function? Making specialized cells. I talk about the process of meiosis, and in this process of meiosis, 4 cells are formed. And these 4 cells, they have got a great significance where we understand that these are the cells known as the specialized reproductive cells, whatever reproductive organ I'm talking about. We'll talk about this later. That's just a general thing for us to understand. So these 4 cells that we are talking about, which are formed after meiosis, what are these 4 cells known as? Whatever it is, plant, animal, whatever it is. What are these 4 cells known as? Gametes. Specialized reproductive cells known as gametes. If it is a concept of mitosis, there is nothing known as gametes. We will only say that the parent cells gives rise to 2 cells which help in the multiplication, repair, wound healing, growth. Here, cell division is majorly for the formation of the gametes. So here, mitosis, what is it? What is the benefit? What is the significance? It helps in growth. It helps in growth, repair, maintenance. It helps in growth, repair, maintenance, etc. And when we are talking about meiosis, helps in the formation of specialized reproductive cells, and these specialized reproductive cells are known as gametes. What are gametes? Gametes are reproductive cells. Gametes are reproductive cells. So we have to come across what is the meaning of this word gamete. Gametes are specialized reproductive cells that we understand. There's still one more point, very important, that we're going to talk about here. Once we come back after the break, we're going to take this topic again. That there is one more major difference to again study between mitosis and meiosis, and that is with reference to the chromosome number. Chromosome number. What is the definition of the word chromosome?
Chromosome is a No. it's
What are
not.
chromosomes inside the nucleus?
There are-
What are chromosomes?
There are 23 pairs of chromosomes.
What is your name?
I'm sorry.
Then I'm asking you, what are chromosomes? 23, why you are saying?
Yeah. Chromosomes are
What are chromosomes?
no, I know thread-like structure which is composed of DNA and proteins.
So what are chromosomes? Chromosomes are condensed thread-like structures which are consisting of DNA proteins. What is their number? 46. If I talk about human, 46. What do they carry?
Genetic information.
Genetic information. So what are those segments of the DNA known as?
Genes.
Genes. And what are the carriers of heredity in our cells? Chromosomes. The carriers of heredity, chromosomes. And the segments of the DNA inside, then what is the relation DNA and chromosome?
Chromosome is
DNA is inside the chromosome. So we'll learn all these things a little bit more after the class.
This sounds so wrong. Sorry.